All right, welcome back, everyone. Man, we got to give a shout out to DJ Tim Yang on the ones and twos, keeping us in the grooves. He's been killing it all day. We still need that playlist from you. So, all right.
I got you guys. I got you.
We've been killing it all day, man. All right. So, that was the first half of the day. I hope you guys are feeling inspired or, feeling ready to go out and dream big. We've heard from Nepal. We heard from the finalists who are doing great things. And now, transition into our next part of the day, I'm going to introduce the advocacy panel, Fighting for Our Dreams. In this panel today, you're going to hear from three amazing, powerful women who are doing amazing things and made it their life's work to fight for, an equitable community. So we hope after hearing from these stories that you'll feel inspired to go out and live your dreams and get up every day and, commence whatever plan, whatever goal you have for yourself. So the panel will be moderated by former mayoral candidate Thomas Downs. And when we're ready.
Thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you very much for having me again. It was my absolute pleasure to speak here last year, and I'm very excited to speak with our new panelists and be the moderator this year. So once again, thank you for joining us again at the advocacy panel. I'm going to start off by introducing Amanda Litman. Amanda Litman is the co-founder and co-executive director of Run for Something, which recruits and supports young, diverse, progressive candidates running for down ballot offices. Since 2017, RFS has identified more than 120,000 young people who want to run, endorsed 2,000, and elected more than 600 people from 48 states, mostly women and people of color. Before launching Run for Something, Amanda worked for various campaigns, such as Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign and for Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Really excited to be here.
Next up is Bobbi Taylor. Bobbi is a consultant at Think of Us, the Nebraska Children Families Foundation, and Cetera. She works also to reshape the child welfare across the country by elevating the voices of individuals who have experienced the child welfare system. Previously, Bobbi was a researcher for Away from Home, a report on youth experiences in institutional placements in foster care. Welcome, Bobbi.
Hey, everyone. Good to be here.
And our third panelist is Sharon Quituisaca. Sharon is a public service warrior and a creative first-generation Latinx from the Bronx. She is committed to advocating for women in the inner city, youth, and the natural environment while aspiring younger generations through mentorship. She is currently a community manager at the office of the New York City Council member, Piera Sanchez, where they work to provide language access and remove barriers from government office, bringing pertinent resources and support to inspire the radical community change. Sharon is passionate about representing the Latinx and queer communities in all spaces, and some things that bring her joy are cooking, hiking, and being a proud dog mom. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so we're going to start off, just get right into it. Right now, could you share your journey from first job to where you are today? Throughout your journey, what was or is the thing that you are good at and feel that has helped you the most to get you where you are now? I mean, we can start off with Amanda.
Thomas, what a good question to begin with. As you noted, I have been working on political campaigns basically my entire career. I went to college specifically because I thought about focusing on women in politics. It's what I wrote my thesis on when I went to Northwestern. My senior year, I got an internship on the Obama campaign doing online fundraising and was able to get credit for it through school, which was how I was able to make it work. I was hired just before I graduated and then worked for him through the election, which we won, so fun, and then stayed and worked for his nonprofit for another year at Organizing for Action. And then moved to Florida to work for the governor's race in 2014, which we lost, but at the very least, I got to go to Disney World afterwards and, be sad in Disney World, which was, I guess, kind of okay. Then I came here to New York and started working for Secretary Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign in early 2015 before we launched. Worked for her for 2 years through the election and after a little bit after. And then we launched Run for Something on Trump's inauguration day, really thinking it would be small. We thought maybe we'd get 100 people who wanted to run in the first year. But as you noted, Thomas, we've now had more than 120,000 young people, all folks 40 years old and younger, ages 18 to 40, who've said they want to run for local office. I think the biggest thing I've learned over now my decade in politics is that you don't get what you don't ask for. That means money, that means help, that means support, that means favors, that means people's time, people's advice, people's wisdom. You don't ask, you don't get. And the worst thing someone will say is no, but I have been so incredibly surprised by the people who have said yes and offered up their time, their resources, their talent, especially over the last 5.5 years as we've been doing Run for Something, that has really made all of this possible.
Thank you. Bobbi, do you have an answer to that question?
Yeah, it's a hard act to follow, but so my name is Bobbi, and I grew up in foster care and juvenile justice, and I actually aged out of care homeless, right? So my first couple of jobs were very much the quote unquote dead end jobs, right? The Dunkin' Donuts, the the metal factories, the rabbit food factories, and I spent a long time, going job to job and raising my kids, right? Because I had to put food on the table. But what I was really good at in each of those situations was pointing out where they were messing up in the company and providing solutions to help fix that, right? So whether it was a toxic work culture or whether they just weren't providing adequate service to their customers, like I could see that, and I was not scared to tell them about it and to provide solutions for the management. But on the side, the whole time that I'm kind of navigating life, I'm advocating on the side because the system did me dirty, right? They left me homeless after spending 7 years in care. And I wanted to change that for a lot of other young people who are experiencing that. And so what I noticed was I was really good at pointing out the flaws, but also helping fixing them. And I was like, you know what? Advocacy does not feel like a job to me. It feels like a passion. It feels like purpose work. And so I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to quit these dead end jobs and I'm going to go for it. I don't know how I'm going to do it, right? I was kind of gambling, and that was an unsafe gamble with my kids. But, I did it. And I was like, I just have to get my skills up and I have to monetize kind of the advocacy and the consulting that I do. And that's kind of where I've ended up now, which is consulting with a bunch of amazing nonprofits helping fix and transform the system.
Thank you very much. Sharon?
Yeah, love this question. It makes me reflect on like all the different jobs I've had, even before I got into city government. So currently I'm working at the city council in the Bronx's District 14, which is the Northwest Bronx. Right before this, I was serving at the mayor's office as a fellow and also as an AmeriCorps member. So I mean, that's all great. But before that, right, we all held those small jobs in food service or, as tutors. And throughout my experience working with, whether it be my clients or my customers or my students, one of the things that really stuck out to me was, being able to listen to them, especially about all the concerns that they had. Like Bobbi said, toxic work culture, or, they don't feel like they're being heard. I feel like I was always an advocate. It kind of came easy for me. So from an early age, it kind of like just became something that I was passionate about. And I noticed that I was just really good at, taking everyone's concerns and communicating it to leadership. Then when I became the leadership, I was able to collaborate with my colleagues to, find solutions and make sure that we were all able to really, provide the best working experience for all the people. And so, now in city government, I'm able to use those, soft skills, right? Because I'm not coding, I'm not an engineer, but it's about the collaboration and communication with all the right people. And, as someone who has a voice at the table now in certain ways, using all the things that I've learned throughout my first few jobs has definitely been an invaluable experience for where I'm at now.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. That truly amazing answers from every one of our panelists today. So I know this is going to be very hard, but in a few words, if you guys could describe what advocacy means to you, and we can start with Bobbi.
Yeah, advocacy really for me means elevating the needs of the community, and especially those most proximate to the issues, to those in decision-making power, and making sure that those people in decision-making power are working for the community and not against the community. So I hope that's a few words, but that's what it means to me.
Thank you very much, Sharon.
Yeah, so for me, it's really about finding your voice and using it to inspire deep, radical, inclusive change. We all have things to say and things that we're passionate about, whether, whether we found our voice or not, we have something to say. But some of us also have seats at the table, like I said, in the roles that we have, that we're able to influence leaders and other decision makers. And that is a privilege, and it's not a bad privilege, right? Use it to find your voice, use it for strength. And some of our greatest leaders that we've all been inspired by, they were all super scared and anxious to be doing the work that they did, right? To speak about their convictions. But we all have a story to tell and stories to elevate. And so advocacy for me is really about stepping into your power with the intention of uplifting the communities that are most affected by the injustices that we face.
Thank you. And we'll finish off with Amanda then.
For me, advocacy is about creating space for the people whose voices need to be heard, and for the leaders that we need, and especially to make sure that we are telling people and helping people and encouraging people to step up and claim their power, as Sharon and Bobbi so carefully and eloquently said, and then making it easy for them to do that as much as possible, like creating the on-ramp and helping people through it. It is not about, it's really not about me. It's about making sure that there is space for the people who need to be there.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, for our next question, it's important to recognize how young people are now becoming more a part of the workforce and more a part of working towards their everyday goals as who they want to be as a person. So this next question is, how can young adults find the balance between finding a job that supports them financially and participating in advocacy and activism at the same time? And we can start off with Sharon.
Yeah, I mean, great question. As someone who works in city government, right? I grew up in a family of immigrants. For them, it was always about chasing the bag, as we say, right? They were a little disappointed that I didn't become a doctor, an engineer. And when I told them I was in work for the city, they were like, yeah, that's great, but are you going to make money? And so, I mean, when you feel truly passionate about something, learning and growing as a professional shouldn't come too hard, right? I like to say I'm a student of life. We all are, really. But when you are in a position that you are, committed to, and you're learning from your colleagues, collaborating with other folks, it's not hard to really grow into a leadership role and increase your pay. That's in public service, right? And if the public service sector is not for you, that's okay too. My advice for them would be, chase your bag, do what you're gonna do, but then you're passionate about something, you want to participate in those spaces, join a local group, do something that's going to require your participation outside of work, join a community that you're going to be responsible to show up for, and it's going to feel really worth it to do so, while you are also chasing your bag on the side.
Thank you. Yeah. Amanda?
Don't feel like you have to tackle every problem. You can have your 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 or 5 to midnight job or whatever it is it might be. And the time outside of that, pick the one thing you care about, whether that's, the schools in your area, the quality of restaurants, the playgrounds, the streets, the safety, whatever it is. Don't feel like you need to be doing everything to solve every problem, or trying to make change globally, although you can if you want to. Really think specifically about the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning or that keeps you up late at night, and find the specific tangible work you can do to help advance that one thing. It is not thinking too small or diminishing to try and narrow your focus. What it does is allow you to really go deep and have impact.
Thank you. Bobbi?
Yeah. So for me, advocacy kind of has became my job, right? So, but the things that I don't get paid for, it's voting or going down to testify at a local hearing or going to city council, right? And I don't know about y'all, but I have 4 kids, right? So I have to plan around those things. Like things that mean a lot to me, I have to plan to actually get to the polls by 8 o'clock, to get a babysitter so that way I can, go testify, because I don't know about you guys either, but there's not really a timeline in which you can testify, if that makes sense. So you could spend an hour there, right? Or you could spend like 5 hours there just waiting to testify. And so it takes a lot of planning, but I think the most important thing that people can do to at least, have their voices heard or have matched values in office is voting. I mean, that's the simplest thing. It's probably the thing that takes the least amount of time, but it's researching those candidates and making sure that you're voting for them so that they are representing your values in these public spaces, right? Because we can't always go testify, we can't always go march, we can't always do those things. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury for that. But that piece, I think, is the biggest significant thing that you can do in a work-life balance situation. And there's also 1,000 other options too, right? So you can write letters of testimony. You can join via Zoom. I know during the pandemic they switched over to Zoom, so you really don't have to find a babysitter if you don't want to. You can have them like crying in the back like I do. I'm just kidding, my partner's here, but you can have them in the background, right? And figure it out, in a virtual setting. So it just takes a little bit of research, a little bit of planning, but really making sure people have your best interest at heart in those offices is most important.
Thank you. So for the final 2 questions, they are more kind of short answer, just very quick. So as we all know, young adults typically navigate a system that has been designed to be incredibly inequitable towards them. What are some available resources that you guys know of to help them navigate that inequitable system? And we can start with Amanda.
Run for something. We are here to help young people like you, like everyone on this call, run for office. We worked with Pirina Sanchez, who I know Sharon works with in the Bronx. We worked with probably 15 or 16 members of the New York City Council. We are here to help people brand new to public service thinking about how to run. So if you go to runforsomething.net, you can learn more about how we engage. We've got a book, we've got podcasts, we've got videos, we've got the whole gamut of materials. Even if you don't know where to start, if you're like, ooh, I have no idea what this means or what you even require, you only need to be 18 in New York City. So you can do this and we will help you.
Thank you. Bobbi?
Yeah, I think the best option is to find a youth serving organization, and you're going to know that they are unconditionally supportive by the moment you walk in. And so sticking with them and building relationships with them, because unconditionality means that even if you're good today but homeless tomorrow, you can come in and they're going to serve you, right? I have found that the best I guess the best help that I've received in navigation through the system is with youth serving organizations. And then the other spaces, you just really have to know how to advocate for yourself and know that everybody has a boss. So if you're not being treated right at this level, someone else got a boss over here and they have a boss over there, right? So everyone has a boss. But I would say auntbertha.com, I think, has been of significant help to a lot of different communities, and you just use your zip code. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. And we'll finish off with Sharon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really like what Amanda said a little earlier about you don't have to solve every single problem. And I think that's one of the things as a young person who just gets like so riled up, especially in the environment we're living in right now, it's going to feel really impossible. But the fact that you're even interested in advocacy or in doing, the type of work that you are interested in, you're already a hero. You don't have to save the world. You just have to, save your little bubble of the world that you're in. And so first of all, remember that it's okay to also, take time for yourself, because a lot of the things that we're experiencing are really heavy. So, self-care is number one, and finding time for radical love and joy in the work that you do, finding pleasure in it, making sure that, even though it's a heavy day, you still, are able to collaborate with your team and do something fun on the side. It's just really important to find that community that's going to support you and the work that you're doing. Like I said, join a local group. Run for Something's really awesome, Amanda. I have personally found a lot of joy in just getting to know other young people around my community, knowing that there are other like-minded individuals who are really going to engage in the same things that I'm interested in, and you know, having hope for the future. That's the most important. But yeah, just finding so much joy in what you're doing as well.
Thank you. And for our final question today, if you were to be able to go back to your younger self and you only have a couple seconds to actually give them some advice, what would you do? And we can start off with Bobbi.
Yeah, follow your dreams, believe in yourself, and keep boundaries and values very close to you, right? Your integrity is everything, and you're not going to be happy working for or with people who don't hold those same values. So keeping those very, very near and dear. Yeah.
Thank you. Sharon?
Well, no, number one would be try to go to as many events as possible, meet people, talk to people, network, right? That's like work stuff, but also you can find a lot of good friends in these spaces, lifelong friends even. And second would be part of that also, don't judge, never judge someone. Like, you never know who you're talking to. You never know who you're talking to. And that's like really, really important.
Thank you. Amanda?
Even a dream job, a job that you love and take a lot of joy in and find meaningful and impactful, is still a job, and some of it will suck. And that's the way of the working world. And so not to be disappointed or disillusioned about that. Even a dream job is still a job.
Thank you very much. Our panelists today, once again, were Amanda, Bobbi, and Sharon. Thank you very much for joining us. You guys were absolutely wonderful, and I could not have asked for better panelists. Now, in the spirit of advocacy, of course, one of the easiest ways to be an advocate in your community is to go out and vote. In New York City, I just want to remind you, and in New York State for that matter, our election coming up is August 23rd, and that is a statewide election. Our voter registration deadline for that election is actually tomorrow. So if you're not registered to vote and you're 18, you can still register to vote online and be able to vote in that election. And if you're not 18, there are still options. 16 and 17-year-olds in New York State are able to pre-register to vote so that when they do turn 18, they can walk right in and cast their ballot. What you'll need is a New York State driver's license, a zip code, or the last 4 digits of your social security number. If you don't have a New York State driver's license, do not worry. NewYorkCityVotes.org. If you live in New York City in the 5 boroughs, you are able to go onto that website and they will help you get a pre-filled form that can be mailed to your house that you can fill out and submit. Why should you vote is always a question I get asked. Young voters have the genuine power to make a difference in their communities because elections can be decided by a handful of votes, especially off the national stage. Politicians won't address young adults' needs without them actually voting. Time to elect representatives that reflect our growing and diverse population is now. We see this in our elections every day that we need to have more of a voice. And of course, it is your right to vote in this country. So please, if you don't have a bone in your body to run for office or you're not able to volunteer your time, that is okay. Just remember, you can always register very quickly in 2 minutes, go out and vote. And that is what you need to do to be an advocate. Thank you very much, everyone. And I'm going to pass the mic off. Thank you.
Thank you guys for that wonderful, wonderful advocacy panel. You know, can we get some love in the chat for all of our wonderful speakers and former mayoral candidate Thomas Stone, who did an amazing job just moderating that.